Okay, seventh graders, Mr. Farley here. Happy day to everybody. We're going to be looking at the Americans Rush West in Chapter 13, Section 5. We're going to be talking about the Gold Rush. In addition to this reading in this mini lecture, I've also given you on your Schoology page, I've linked the vocab deck, the full vocab deck for 13.5, as well as a couple of important videos that you'll need to watch to supplement our learning here. One of the vocab words that we're going to look at here in the reading is right below here, vigilante. A vigilante is someone who takes the law into his or her own hands, someone who basically becomes judge, jury, and executioner all on their own. They are operating outside of the law. Vigilante is someone who basically takes the law into their own hands. Let's pick up with our reading here on Americans rushing west. In the middle 1800s, American pioneers headed into the new lands of the Mexican Cession. One of the largest groups to move west was the Mormons, the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The Mormons are a religious group that were looking for a place to settle and to practice their religion where they would not be persecuted. The Mormons had been driven away from their settlements in New York and Illinois because their teachings and beliefs upset many people. One of the most controversial beliefs of Mormons that many American Christians had difficulty accepting and tolerating was the Mormon belief at the time in the early to mid 1800s that accepted the practice of polygamy. Polygamy was the Mormon practice of taking more than one wife. And because of this and other beliefs of Mormons, they weren't really made to feel very welcome where they settled. And eventually the Mormons, after being pushed from New York and Illinois, would hope to find refuge in Utah. In 1847, Mormons were led by Brigham Young. They settled in the desert in Utah near the Great Salt Lake. And about 15,000 Mormon men, women, and children would move there. And in time, this settlement grew and prospered. Other pioneers headed in the meantime to California, inspired by the discovery of gold in 1848. In 1849, more than 80,000 people joined the gold rush to California, not just Americans rushing west toward California, but people rushing to California from literally all over the world. These newcomers became known as the 49ers because many arrived in California in the year 1849. And yes, football fans, that is absolutely the reason why the San Francisco 49ers have the 49ers as their team name. It is named after the large numbers of people who came to California in search for gold in 1849. Now, the gold rush attracted people from all over the world. Immigrants from China and Europe joined both black and white newcomers from other parts of the United States. San Francisco would grow into a bustling city with a diverse or varied population. Few people became rich, but many people decided to stay in California. An important point here, guys and girls, is that very few people would become rich in their attempts to find gold. Most of the gold on the surface of the earth would be found rather quickly by the first miners. And the people that came afterwards, many of the 80,000 that came afterwards, would be unsuccessful in finding gold, but many of these people would still opt to stay in California. This large growth in population led to problems. Native Americans and Mexican Americans lost more lands to the people who came west looking for gold. Some of the mining towns were wild, lawless places. Sometimes vigilantes, there's that vocab word, sometimes vigilantes tried to keep order even though they had no legal right to do so. You would have many examples of men taking the law into their own hands and torturing, jailing, and in many cases killing people who were simply accused of a crime. They had no legal rights, or very few of them were able to benefit from due process, the rights that we all have if we are accused of a crime. These vigilantes took the law into their own hands. Despite these problems, California grew steadily, and in 1850, California would become a state. Taking a look at the diagram here to the right, the title of the diagram is The Growth of California. And at the top half of the diagram, you've got the causes of California's growth. And there's two bullet points here. Gold is discovered in the late 1840s. And as a result, thousands of 49ers arrive. And the effects of this are California will quickly become a state in 1850. The rights of some Californians would be ignored, largely populations of Native Americans and others whose lands and rights would not be respected. Also, though, because so many people from different parts of the world come to California in the hopes of striking it rich, California will become and has a diverse population today, largely because of the many, many different backgrounds of people that came there during the gold rush. A couple of review questions you can answer on a separate sheet of paper. One, where did the Mormons settle? You can find that in the reading. And the chart skill, you will use the chart that we just discussed on the right here. Name two ways that the discovery of gold changed California. Also, be sure when you complete the worksheet, either on separate paper or on a Google Doc, be sure that you go to the Schoology page and watch the video links that I provided on both the Mormons and on the gold rush. Those are very important supplements to what we're learning today. Hope you guys have a great day. And if you have questions, you can email me to my school email, or you can text me on the Remind app if you have questions with any of the content that we're learning about with the Gold Rush, Chapter 13, Section 5.